Hey, what's going on? You keep the changers. You missed me. I just know you did. I'm just feeling it right now. Hey, I had an opportunity a week ago. Yeah, a week ago to go to the ASOTU conference. And I love doing that because of the fact I get to run into people that I know. There's a lot of that going on, but also run into people I don't know. If you know anything about the Keep the Change podcast, you know that we love to have automobile leaders, say that 20 times, who build people and build culture and build something that lasts long after they leave the room. I think it's called legacy. If you've been on the journey with me, you know we talk about the hard stuff, the mistakes that cost good managers the best people, the conversation nobody wants to have, the culture that either keeps your team together or quietly tears it apart. Today's guest knows all of that firsthand, and he's young too, man. It's incredible how much knowledge he has. He's been a general manager at some of the most respected automotive groups on the East Coast, and today he's operating partner of Dogwood Automotive Group, overseeing Dogwood Mazda, Volkswagen of Winchester, and Volvo Cars Winchester out of Maryland and the Virginia area. He's an NADA graduate, three-sport high school athlete, a lacrosse coach, and a leader who spent years learning, sometimes the hard way, what it actually takes to build teams that win. John Alcorn, welcome to Keep the Change, brother.
Thank you, Bart. I am completely and utterly honored to be on with you. It was awesome to meet you and get to know you at a SO2, and I think I would guess to say we instantly kicked off pretty quickly, and it felt like a natural relationship pretty quickly. So it's good to call you a friend, sir.
Oh, thank you. You know what I believe? I believe that I believe, right? That's it, man. And you and I have similar faith. We are believers in our Lord, and that doesn't necessarily qualify somebody to be on the Keep the Change podcast, but it's just something when you run into a kindred spirit. I mean, John, I'm a lot older than you, but I really feel like we're brothers, man. I'm old enough to be your pops, but I believe we're brothers. And I heard that from the time we sat at that round table. And I'm really, really looking forward to just having two men talk about leadership, communication, family, and all that fun stuff. So let's rock and roll, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So you played a lot of sports in high school. You're a wrestler, a football player. You played lacrosse, and you also did that in college, right?
Yes, I did. I was
Talk to me.
so it was lacrosse was kind of a funny thing. I actually didn't pick up a lacrosse stick until my sophomore year in high school. I was a wrestler, a football player, multi-sport athlete my whole life. My older brother he was a D1 football player at Taos University, and he was 2 years older than I am. So when he was a senior, I was a sophomore. Uh, he was born to be a football player. I mean, he was a big guy, and it was just natural for him. And I was kind of the smaller brother. And although some people say I'm not small, I was the small guy in the family. Um, and he came to me, the lacrosse coach. It was brand new in Frederick County, Maryland. I was raised there, although I was born out in the Midwest. And Frederick County, Maryland had never had lacrosse at public high schools. And we were at Urbana. I had the fortunate enough experience to be the fourth graduating class of Urbana High School ever. And at the time, I think we were seventh in the nation in football. We were like 50-0. I never lost a high school football game. Thankfully enough, I don't know what that feels like. I got to play with some pretty incredible players. And that being said, my brother came to me when he was a senior, and I was a sophomore, and said, "Hey, they're starting lacrosse. You're going to play." And I went, "I'm not going to play. I'm not playing lacrosse." And he said, "Yeah, you are. I talked to Coach Uri, and he wants me to play." And I told him that you and I are going to play. I said, "Okay." And I didn't even really want to do it. And then I picked up a lacrosse stick, and it was like, man, there it is. I found my sport. And to this day, my two young boys, my 6-year-old and 9-year-old, will get home and we'll go throw and shoot on goal. And it's been a huge part of my life. And I played in college, so my friend Joe Connor and I were the first two in Frederick County, Maryland history to sign lacrosse scholarships. And then he went up north. I went down south because I was tired of the cold. Played college lacrosse. It was absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, I had a pretty bad knee injury, and the lacrosse career kind of ended towards the end of college. But I got to stay on and help coach, which was cool as a student coach, and got out of there, graduated with sports management and a business minor, and came out and coached at St. John's Catholic Prep up here in Frederick, Maryland, and was able to take them with a very good friend of mine, Jeremy Mattoon, was able to take them to the MIAA championship their first year, which was awesome.
Just have a golden touch, man. I've got a guy I'm going to interview in a couple of weeks who's a baseball coach here at Valley Christian High School in Gilbert, Arizona. And to hear him talk, he was on a Saturday morning show. My wife and I were driving to a breakfast one morning, and I thought that guy needs to be on this show because of who he is as a leader. And that's one thing that I just think is such a big deal that people overlook, the leadership ability of a coach to motivate high school people to perform at high level. So you got to help me with that, because now you operate multiple buildings. How has that part of your life back then as a high school coach and that lead young men, and I'm assuming it was young men, has that affected who you are today? What different characteristics are similar, and maybe what are different?
They're so similar, but when you're right, when you're with age comes wisdom. We've heard it a million times, and people are born with. Some people are born with natural leadership abilities. Some people work on them until they develop them. It's the guys that have that natural ability and then continue to work on them. And it wasn't until later in my career in automotive that I had a very, very good leader of mine who pushed me pretty far and pretty hard. His name is Chris Morgan. He introduced me to John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. And it changed my life instantaneously. And I read it, and it's still my favorite book. I hope one day to meet Mr. Maxwell, because I look up to his writings so much. But the fact is that I didn't know that was something I had that I needed to continue to work on. I was a natural athlete. I've been playing sports since I was a kid. But it's crazy, even the top athletes in the world have coaches. They continue to work on their sport. And then somebody looked at me and said, "Hey, you're in a leadership role. You need to work on your leadership." It was like, wait a second. This is just like a talent. Like I haven't developed this thing that I have that I'm capable of. And to draw a correlation between coaching and this, there's a fine line between pushing them away and pulling them in and pushing them to their best. And it's really, really important. Once I really started to learn and study it, it's hilarious how you look back and say, man, as a coach, it was, there were players that I was a position leader for, and there were players that I was a permission leader for.
There you go. Come on.
And there were those guys that you just knew were going to be more than what they were, and you started to go into production with them. So I mean, it really kind of depended on where it was, and until it was defined, written down, and understood, I didn't have that wisdom. But it was there, and it comes from my dad was Air Force, and although silent, a lot of times he was a very strong male, and kept me on the straight and narrow. I'm pretty sure my dad might be the last Boy Scout left on earth. I love the guy. I am 42 years old, and he is to this day my hero.
As a father, and you know it too, that's what we want.
Yeah.
If our kids can say that about us. I got to flip a little bit here, buddy. And excuse me, every once in a while I might cut you off, and it's not.
Go ahead.
It's just because, oh man, I got to ask the question. It's just that part of me. So you may or may not know that since 2013, I joined Maxwell Leadership as an executive director. And as a matter of fact, when I joined in 2013, I became a master at DISC and emotional intelligence. And so I've spoken on those Maxwell stages a few times. And I would tell you, we can do this offline too, but becoming a Maxwell leadership certified coach is one of the best things I've ever done. But the reason I did it was because I saw a void in leadership in dealerships. And I thought, what better way? Because I've been a GSM at a store. My GM loved Maxwell. So I was immersed in it. And when I had an opportunity in 13 to find out about his certified program, dude, I jumped in. So that's like 13 years ago. It's crazy. But the reason I say all that is the fact is that content changed my life, but also developing the Leader 2.0. I've taken that and taught managers at that through masterminds for years.
I think I told you this when we were hanging out at the table at SO2. The word leadership, I have two boys. They're 6 years old and they're 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The word leadership is not thrown around lightly in my house. It's, we consistently tell the boys, well, first and foremost, my wife and I decided that we were going to raise men, not boys. And we were going to raise godly men, not boys. And so the word leadership plays into that a lot. And, we'll have a family event and I'll look at them and I'm like, they want to run over the pizza. I go, whoa. What's a leader do? Well, leaders eat last. All right. You make sure everybody's got food.
Dude.
And I mean, they're 6 and 9 and they know that. And to have that, I mean, my dad didn't really teach that. But as a child of the 80s, there wasn't a lot of teaching going. It was, hey, children are supposed to be seen and not heard. That was the famous thing. And so I watched my dad do this stuff. I learned from watching him. It was never verbalized. And now I have the tools to actually do it and verbalize it and allow my children to understand it so I can try to impart some of the wisdom that I didn't really gain or understand until later on in life. I just knew that's what you did.
So good. So let me ask you this. You've been operating partner at Dogwood for how long?
So it's been a year and a half since Jim and I bought the store. It was August of 2024 that we got the store from Buyer Automotive Group. John Altman's awesome. Buyer Automotive Group stayed around. A small private equity firm purchased the rest of the stores, kept the name. John Altman's still on with him. He's a great guy. Absolute praise to him on how he handled everything and got everything squared away for us. And we're in Winchester, Virginia, little town over what they call the hill from DC. So we are technically Northern Virginia. We're the fastest growing city in Virginia 4 years running. There's about 105,000 people in the county, right around 36 to 40,000 people in the city, and it's growing like wildfire. And so we're really fortunate to have Volvo, Volkswagen, and Mazda in this town. And we are facing a lot of the challenges that a lot of other dealers are around the Beltway and the flux of the economy. But again, speed of the leader, speed of the team. I can sit in my office and put my head down and whine about leads and what's going on in the economy, or I can get out and pencil deals and help and be a part of the solution. And that's what I do. I do have the general manager title as well as operating partner. And I literally left being on the desk, penciling a deal with a very nice lady looking at a Volkswagen Tiguan to come in here and do this because my guys need to know that I'm not above any of them. And I'm there for it. So I was calling customers all morning and trying to get leads in and get customers to come in. So we've been here for about a year and a half. Super excited. I will tell you, Jim Keffer is an absolute rock star to work with as a partner that I'm buying this from him. So I have like eight and a half more years to finish paying him out. And then I get to buy the real estate, which is a blessing.
Oh, what a deal.
And I don't think I call him and I don't get some sort of an inspiration or direction on what to do. and he doesn't nitpick and destroy things. Hey, let's go with the ebb and the flow and figure it out. And I am absolutely blown away by the way he treats his partners. And I think he's done this program like 36 or 37 times. So he's created 36 or 37
Really?
scratch. Yeah, that's his whole design. He invests in people, not buildings.
That's a pinnacle leader.
100%.
That's right there, pinnacle leader. Hey, so everybody knows, go through the 5 levels. I know you already know them, of course, because you already said them. But give us a quick overview of the 5 levels so everybody knows it from you. And then I'm going to ask you some leadership questions, especially in this time where the waves are kind of rocking the boat a bit, man. And then you got 3 different stores that you're trying to manage. But start with those 5 leadership lessons, and then I got some questions for you. I can't wait to ask.
So obviously, level 1, position leader. This is the one I actually talk to all of my managers about. I talk to the entire management staff, the team I get to be a part of. The way I usually introduce the 5 levels of leadership is level 1 and level 2, because so many guys are unaware of this. Just because you have a title, they're going to listen to you. They got to follow you because you have to, right? They don't. It's when we bought the place, I walked in and I said, "Hey, I'm the new general manager," and they have to listen to me, because if they don't, they're gone. I mean, that's a really bad way to get good efficiency production out of somebody, as well as it's a really, really bad way to help them change their lives, because they're not really listening to you. They're doing it at 50% efficiency of what they could possibly do. And they could be better, but they don't care to, because you're just a title to them.
Yeah.
And being aware of that is so important, because you have to consistently work to get to the second level. Whereas to me, the second level is where change happens. Once you get into permission leadership, and that's where they kind of go, wait a second, there's something in this for me. I'm going to get a little better. I'm going to follow you because I want to. And that's when the buy-in starts to happen. That's when a culture can really start to take hold of the guys and the men and the women that are on the ground in the trenches every day of, hey, this guy's, you know what, I'm going to let him lead me. I'm okay with it. I'm going to have a relationship with him, and I'm going to follow him, which is huge. And to me, those are the 2 biggest levels. Because really, when you get past that, you start to twist them. And it may have been, I forget what chapter it is, or at the end of what chapter it is in the book, but one of my favorite paragraphs in the book is, we have to be aware that, and I think it may have been the section on assessment. You have to be aware that wherever you think you are, you can change pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like overnight. You think, oh man, he's going to follow me. The next day you walk in, you're just a position leader again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Yeah.
Because you made a bad decision, they no longer trusted you with their permission to lead them. So as a leader, it's our duty to make sure we consistently assess where we fall on their scale, not where they fall on ours. Right? I don't care if he leads me or not. Okay, great. Yeah, you're a real good leader. It's where do we fall on theirs, and how do I change that perception of it?
Yeah.
You kind of get into the production leader, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, what have you done for the organization? Essentially, I'm going to follow you because I've seen what you do for the company, and they start to buy into, hey, I want to do that for the company. I want to get there too. And that's when their goals start to change and align with yours. And that's where you start to really identify the next level of leaders in the group, and what you can start to develop, and where you can take them to get them to people development. And that's where, okay, now I'm going to get into level 4. I'm going to get into people development, and they're going to follow you because of what you've done for them, because they know for a fact. It's no longer I trust him and give him permission to lead me. It's I know for a fact he has my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And it's not a question of I give you permission to lead me or I don't. It's a question of I'm following him because of what he has done for me in my life.
Yeah.
I have a very, very good friend of mine who is the operating partner in Albemarle, North Carolina for the Ford and the CDJR store down there. His name is Cesar Jaimes. And I will tell you that he hired me into the car business. And he's done a lot for me in my life. He has been there for me on very bad and stressful days, on good months, bad months, the whole thing. And there's a lot of things he's done for me. And a lot of times I will allow him to lead me because of what he's done for me. As a mentor, I will allow him to lead me and teach me. Then we look at people like David Long. I mean, instantaneously, him and I became brothers, and he's done a lot for me and pushed me in ways that, and showed me on multiple occasions that by doing things for me in my life. So, he's worked on people development. He's very much, I'm on people development with him. And it's a great, great thing to be a part of and see. Pinnacle leader, man. I hope and pray that I am a pinnacle leader for people, for somebody. And I can really only hope and pray that. This is the part of section where, they're going to follow me because of who I am and what I represent. And that's something that in my faith, in my fatherhood, in my role as a husband and as a business leader, I really hope and pray that people actually choose to follow me and I get to develop them as leaders and work on them because of the actions that I've taken, and they see what I stand for. And it's never wrong to do the right thing. And they go, you know what, this guy is right and I need him to develop me. And that's what it is. So those are, it gets a lot more complicated than that in the 5 levels, but those are really what they stand for to me.
Yeah, that's it. Brother, thank you for that. I've always spewed them out myself because nobody on the other side really understood them. And you and I did not prep for this, but that was beautiful. We
didn't. In fact, the conversation was, I'm going to ask you some questions. And I said, okay, great.
Here we go. So my whole mission, if somebody asked me in an elevator, what do you do? I would say, whether it's the ministry that my wife and I lead for recovery ministry, that's one of the biggest, fastest growing ministries of its kind. It's a Celebrate Recovery. It's one of the fastest growing of its kind in Phoenix area. I happen to be going to Africa in 2 weeks to speak recovery in Zambia, which I'm just knowing that's a God thing. Yeah, and leadership and men in recovery and feeding little kids that won't eat if we don't feed them. Just incredible journey. But if somebody asks me, what do I do? It's help people reach their max capacity, whether it's my kiddos, whether it's the people in our ministry and they just want to stay sober, whether it's the people that are middle managers that we just want to help them get out of the people pile, like John puts it. I love when he talks about that. And growth doesn't just happen, man. It just doesn't. And you're obviously a grow-oriented leader. And it shows, but it's really rare. So from where you sit, let's look at our people, Matt. And because I believe that when I look at the areas that I have to grow in, that's where my biggest opportunities exist. No kidding, right? There's an opportunity there, but I want to look at those so I can grow, because I know if I don't grow, I'm not going anywhere. And everything is about growth. So, John, from where you sit, what's the number one mistake that you see, especially in this market we're in right now, that you see middle managers make that's quietly costing them business or maybe their best people?
Complacency. So one of the things you probably didn't read about me was I'm also, well, I haven't been up in a couple years, but I was a CFI II MEI, so I was a commercial pilot and flight instructor.
No.
And in flight school, one of the first things you learn is complacency kills. Because if you're complacent in the air, you can actually kill people. That in the automotive industry, it's not as bad or as life-threatening, but you're costing yourself money, you're costing yourself deals. I had the good fortune of speaking with Sam for a Car Dealership Guy podcast like 2 days ago, and we were talking about one of the biggest issues and gripes I have right now, and that is COVID destroyed an entire generation of car people. And beforehand, we were taught value building selling. We were taught a walk around, a minute for every 1,000, and the sale happens when the perceived value exceeds the price you're asking by $1, and all this stuff, 70 or 80% on your feet, 20 or 30% on your seat, and all the things that went into turning car people into car people. And you had these, I refer to them as old dogs. They may not have been old, but they were referred to as old dogs in the industry. And they had always talked about the good old days and the payday, and it finally happened during COVID. Let's be real. It finally happened. We have now lived the good old days, and their payday finally happened. So they all retired. They all got out, gone. See ya. I'm going to get my beach house. I made my, 30 grand a month for a 12 or 24 months. And now I've got the money I've always told everybody I paid, and I'm out, gone. And then you had these middle guys. And unfortunately what happened was the GMs started making owner money, and the GSMs started making GM money, and the sales managers started making GSM money. And the finance managers, they're just making more money than ever. So they didn't want to get out of the finance office. And so the owners went, whoa, you can't get paid this. And they got rid of their GMs and just promoted the GSM with a very small raise. Well, he wasn't ready to be a GM. Sales manager, they said, who's the best? Okay, now you're the GSM. He wasn't ready for the leadership. Again, this is a leadership problem. Okay? Because you put somebody who wasn't ready for that leadership role in it, and you put it in an industry where if my 9-year-old was out front, he could have sold cars and made money, because it was just, oh, you don't want it for 10 grand over? Next. Like that's not selling. That's order taking at its highest profitability. And so you had all these salespeople that got into the industry in the beginning of 21 or 2020 or the end of 2019 that all of a sudden, like, this is amazing. I'm making all this money. I don't do anything. And then, when they promoted all these people because they didn't want to pay the GM anymore, that weren't ready for leadership positions, then they grabbed the top salesperson off the floor, put him on the desk, and he didn't know what he was doing. So now we're out of it, and the margins have been compressed. The industry is changing again. I hate to say it, but we kind of need to atone for all of the sins that we had for 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. We finally made the money everybody thought we were making and accused us of it. We did. We made great money, but now we have to pay for that. And the margins have been compressed. The OEMs aren't backing off there. In fact, they're taking incentives away from us. And that all being said, now you have guys who maybe didn't learn that leadership or are so used to that. You have a whole sales floor that never learned how to value build. You've got a sales manager staff that were never really trained on how to be sales managers correctly. You have upper management who was never really trained to be leaders, because that's really where the leadership change happens. You go from the floor to the finance office to the desk, and then all of a sudden you're not responsible for your salary, you're responsible for people. And then all of a sudden you're a GSM, and it's like, whoa, now I have to be a developer of leaders. I better start tuning this in. It was never taught because the profitability was through the roof. And so what we have is we have guys sitting on the desk that are complacent, that don't think you have to do early manager intervention, that don't think you have to be involved in a deal because, well, when I was a salesperson, I didn't have to do anything. They just bought. I made all this money. So no, you weren't that good, bud. That was the economy, and you need to be in there. And so it's on us as higher end leaders to show our worth in production and in level 4 and level 3, even level 2, to go from just a title, just a position leader, and show them we deserve everything we have, because Oh, you don't, and this is kind of the way I do things. Hey man, there's a customer right there. Have you talked to him? No. Okay, don't worry about it. Do you mind if I do it? And I just go out there. And yeah, there's a little bit of guilt and a little bit of, oh man, he's one of the owners, one of the operating partners out there taking a TO, and I should have been doing that. I'm that guy who isn't going to show up 15 minutes late and yell at everybody for being 2 minutes late. It doesn't make sense. If I expect them to be here at 8:50, I better be here at 8:30.
Yeah.
If I expect them to do early manager intervention, I better be greeting them when they walk in the door.
Oh, so good.
Or I better be prepared to do that. If I expect them to take a phone call and take an internet up, I better expect myself to be able to do it and do it even better. And so that's where I find a lot of these sales managers and these middle managers that want to move up, that think they're worth way more money than what they are, is they don't want to get out from behind a desk. They didn't have to during COVID. Why do they have to do it now? Why? Because they're complacent. And then they hide behind, I'm trying to develop the salesperson. And that's not how you develop it. Really? That's not at all how you develop it. In fact, you create a culture of, man, I don't want him involved. And then you create a culture of saving, I forget what year it was, when he was in Alabama, it was a year, I mean, he just just spit running backs out left and right. And they had interviewed, it may have been Henry or somebody, and they said, on the interview, it was after a national championship, they said, how are you have such a success? They asked the running backs, how do you guys have such a deep and successful running back core? I think it was like running back 1, 2, and 3 all got taken, or were all going to get taken in the draft. It was crazy. And they said, the coaches don't hold us accountable anymore. We do.
Self-accountability.
And it's like, they knew if they didn't keep themselves accountable, that their running back coach and Nick Saban and the offensive coordinator, they were going to be down there. And man, they didn't want to do it.
Yeah. So can I add something? This is so good, man.
Of course.
You know, the passion that you have for developing people, and I want to go back to those 4 levels, because I think that our industry, and again, we're giving this assessment away so you can look at your own self, and not you, John, but the people listening, to see, where am I? Because isn't that the thing? We always got to look, where am I? That's number 1, right? And self-awareness is the first part of emotional intelligence. The second part is self-management. So if we are a position leader, as you said, that's brand new, permission leader, building relationships. Production leader, though, if somebody's still hanging out nowadays, they're probably pretty good at producing, and we get it. I get it from your side of it. I watched. I've been in that seat, and I get that production. You got to produce, man. We got to produce. But the area where I see just people not owning yet is people development, and I love it. I think I bring it up every time on this PC because I see it being so true every time I go into a store. Gallup says that performance in dealerships will improve 67.8% if managers do one-on-one coaching with their people on a weekly basis. Now, I want to repeat that because if we want more production, that means we got to develop our people, right? So what I think people forget is it's produce. I love it. Of course it is. We wouldn't be here if we didn't produce, every one of us. And yet, if we're not developing people, then we're also not going to produce. People are going to end up leaving. But how do we develop them? Well, training, yeah, that's great. Of course we do training. But the people development around coaching is different. That means a one-on-one with 4 basic pieces. An agenda going in, that we really know what our agenda is with that person. We're looking at all the obstacles. We're looking at solutions. And before that 20-minute session's done, we have an action plan. What Valerie Burton from Maxwell calls AOOA. And that is a 15 to 20-minute session done every week or every other week on a specific topic that changes results. But it ain't easy. It's easier to sit at the desk, not to do a one-on-one with somebody. I used to love doing speaking in big groups. Today, my life focuses around those one-on-ones like this, or one-on-one with a manager that's trying to be the best they can be and develop other people. So it's such an art. If anybody listening to this can get that, coaching isn't telling. Coaching is you're more like a therapist. You're asking and listening. But if somebody can get that, that's when we change lives on a dramatic basis. And we change lives on a dramatic basis, not only in our workplace, but also at home. Like you said, what you're doing with your kid. Oh, yeah. Like you said, you're doing.
1,000%. I gotta interject because I think you're doing to me what I was doing to you. Like I gotta say this, it's like burning inside. I think so many people, and I've developed I've actually started another company on the side. I think that the word sales efficiency is never used. It's never measured correctly. There's not an industry wide. If I ask general managers, say, hey, how do you measure your salespeople? Some say, they're units sold. Okay, so gross doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it does. Okay, so lead handling doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it does. Okay, so output or outbound activity doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it does. Okay, well, how do you measure all that? Well, okay, so if you don't know how they're measured, how do they? Right. So I actually started a company with David Long, kind of inspired me to do this, called SEF Score, or Sales Efficiency Indexing. And I've deployed it into my stores about a month and a half ago, and it measures roughly about 12 KPIs that measure into one score. So I can actually measure the entire department for sales efficiency and each individual person, and it breaks it down into 3 blocks. It's the simplest thing. In fact, I showed it to a buddy of mine from NADA, and he went, why has nobody done this? And I went, I don't know. In fact, I break it down to how many hours or how many calls they make per their free activity hours during work. Like, we measure all of it, and we do it in a very easy and simple, because simplify is a very good word for me this year, very easy and simple word, and or a simple way that they can read it, design it, we can coach on it. But here's the important part I think everybody forgets, and this is what was burning in my heart that I had to say. You sit down with that action plan. You sit down with that evaluation weekly. We do it a couple times a week, actually. I update it on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for their SEF Score, and they sit down. They know exactly where they're at through the month. It judges all of it. But here's the thing. When you notice that out of nowhere, my outbound activity dropped from 110% efficient to 60% efficient. This is where so many managers stay in the position level 1. They need to stop and go, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay at home? How are you doing today? This isn't you. Something's going on. I'm going to put this piece of paper over here. Let's just talk.
Oh, man, John.
When you do that, you want to talk about leadership. I get passionate about this stuff, because when they know you care about them more than a piece of paper, you're talk about getting the most out of somebody. They'll run through a wall for you. And they know, because they know I would do the same. So, and it's just as simple as going, instead of, hey, it's about this piece of paper and the stats on it, do it, and here's how you do it better. Bye. Anybody can do that. Leaders, in my opinion, have the ability to go, man, this is off. Is everything okay at home? How are you feeling? Is there something I can do better for you? That will change a conversation. You want to take an underperforming salesperson, an underperforming manager, and have that conversation and use the stats and data to have a personal conversation with them, it'll change everything.
Wow. So good. And I think that's part of it, isn't it? That a lot of times managers don't know what conversation to have. Now you've got a tool. The agenda is their sales process. You've got a tool to have that conversation with. And what you said that just gave me chills is instead of directing, which we're really good at, we're asking and listening and asking and listening. And this is one of my, every time you watch the Keep the Change podcast, you're going to hear this quote, man. You can get anything you want if you help enough people get what they want. That's one of my quotes. The other one is,
you said that to me a week and a half ago at a SOTO, and I was like, man, I like that.
Isn't that so good? I didn't make it up. It's Zig Ziglar, the best ever. I get all my stuff from other people. But this one here, I love this one. I got this from Eustace Wolfington from Half a Car. And that is, a man or woman convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. Meaning when you and I direct our passion to somebody without getting their subconscious involved and coming up with the answers to the questions, when you and I try to tell them, we wonder, why aren't they getting it? Why do I have to tell Leroy every single time? It's because they're not hearing you, man. There's a force field. When you ask a question, a curious question, not a judgmental question, it forces them to come up with the answer. If they feel like you're trying to be an attorney and lead them to the answer you want, they're going to shut down. If they think you're being curious because you don't know, then you're going to get good information, and they're going to answer it, and they're going to answer it with knowing. So if they say they're going to do something because they answered the question, now we can say to them, Billy, how can I hold you accountable here? Well, I'm going to do this. I want you to just check with me once a week and make sure I did it. Perfect. Great leaders are accountability partners. We shouldn't have to do a whole lot more. If they own it, all our job is to hold them accountable and to ask them what they want to be held accountable for. Right, John?
1,000%. One of my favorite quotes, and I can honestly tell you, I don't know if somebody else said this. I've been saying it for years. I didn't hear it from anybody. It came out of my mouth one day. So I don't know if it's a John Alcorn original, but I have used it for as long as leadership has been a passion of mine. Good leaders give somebody an idea. Great leaders make them think it was theirs. And once they have that, and it's like, it's my idea, and this, I'm gonna run with this thing. It's like, a lot of times it may not be exactly how I would do something, but it's not about me. And that's what so many people forget. It's like, listen, I can sit in my office and do everything all at once and just be so busy, I don't know what I'm doing, and I lead a horrible life. Or I can trust the people around me that I get to lead to come up with ideas, and I may feed them a breadcrumb to take them down a path. But when they go, hey, I have an idea, and it's exactly the theme that I wanted, man, they're going to own that thing. And then I get to have that conversation of, all right, man, well, how should we measure that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't even think about that. Well, hey, man, I'm good at spreadsheets. I can put a spreadsheet together for you. You want me to measure it? Yeah, dude, can you do that? Yeah, okay. And they just run with the idea of what they want to see and how they want to see it. And a lot of times it ends up being very similar to what I wanted to happen. Maybe a little different, but the end result's very, very similar because they own their idea. And all I have to do is, hey, man, you're outside the line there. Let's get back in the line.
Yeah. I love this. I thought about this on the golf course today. You know, we talk about what do you want? Why do you want it? It's a big part of any coaching situation. It's also part of a great salesperson. Mr. Customer, what do you want? Why do you want it? Who are you? Great. We're going to show you how to get it. And I think that's a coaching call too. But there's a because. And what I mean by the because is you and I have a cause. You have a cause. You have a cause as a father. You have a cause as a husband. You have a cause as a business leader. You and I have causes. And we'll die for our causes, right? Especially with our family. We'll die for our causes.
1,000%.
And part of the cause is having a because. The because is that I'll die for that because that is my role on this planet, to be a great parent. The reason I'm supposed to be a great parent, because because there is because I'm supposed to grow leaders. The reason that I am supposed to grow leaders, because what I just said, the because for that is because the more leaders on this planet, the better the planet is going to be. So every cause has 30 B causes right behind it. And if you and I had this morning, brother, I had a young man in another part of my world, which is the recovery world, tell me he was struggling with some stuff. And I said, I want you to write down 20. I said, do you want to stop? And it's not simple as that. We get it. But he said, yeah. Do you hate it? Yes. I said, perfect. Write down 20 becauses. Why do you want to stop? Because of this. Why else? Because of this. Why else? Because of this. When you come up with 20, when you get to that slippery slope of wanting to go back to old behavior, whoop, pull that list out, turn around, go the other direction, run from the old behavior and get away from it. Get Jesus on your mind, get in a prayer, get in the Bible, whatever. But your becauses will take you down the right road. So I just love that. I came up with that this morning, and I'm sure I didn't
I
came
love
up
it.
with. Yeah, you and
I
I
love it.
mean, we're dancing on the same song sheet, which is so cool. So I've got to wrap it for you because I know you've got some month-end stuff and some cars to sell, but thank you so much. Before we leave, I need from you, and man, you've had so many nuggets. There's so many questions. Oh, you know what I wanted to say too, back to the because I get pretty jacked up here. We don't get complacent, John, when we have 25 becauses. It's
Yeah,
impossible, right?
100%.
Tony Robbins used to say there's no such thing as impotent goals. There's just lazy people. And it's
It's
our job. And that's the difference now in 2026 as managers that are leaders. Our job is to find out what they want and why they want it. And if we can do that, now we're leading them. Now we're creating ourselves opportunities that are bigger than we could ever imagined. It's not just like you said, sitting behind the desk. It's how do I develop my people at a whole new level? Faith, family, fun, finances, fitness. How do we develop them to be the best humans they can be so they produce at the best level that they can and they have a better quality of life? That's our job as leaders. It's not just to plug in the payment and give it to the salesperson. It's so much bigger. It's so much bigger. And you've said that, you walk that way, and God bless you, man. You're so good. You're so good. So here's my question. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to somebody, and you've probably given it to everyone on your team as in your middle managers in automotive right now? And when we say middle, we don't mean that they're not important. The middle managers drive the business, right? Sales managers, service managers, parts managers, body shop managers, they drive our businesses, right? BDC managers, office managers, they drive our businesses. What's the one piece of advice that you would give to a middle manager in automotive right now who feels like they're doing everything right, but still can't get their team to the next level?
Oh gosh, this is a good one. Okay. Um, my as a leader, if you feel like you're doing everything right and you're not getting the results you want, then it's not as simple as change the people. If I had to give them one piece of advice, it is um, change. That's it. I mean, it's change. Because here's the thing, and I'll go into a little bit. When I started really developing as a leader, and I started looking at myself and where I wanted to be compared to where I was, I realized I couldn't be the man I was and the man I wanted to be at the same time. And anything in leadership, anything as a father, as a husband, as a son, as unfortunately we lost my brother in 2021. So anything I do as an uncle or a brother-in-law for his widow, or whatever I can do for my family in leadership with Jim, whatever, change is inevitable. And the word change has so many meanings, and to me it's so crazy that the name of everything is keep the change, but change is so strong because I couldn't become who I wanted to be and be the guy who I was. I couldn't be a leader and a good husband and a good father and a good example and a good leader of men or people I didn't know or any of that, and be the center of the party and be the guy out buying drinks and be the guy out doing things Hey, we had a great month. Let me go buy you guys a bunch of beer and stay out till midnight. I can't be that and be this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I can't celebrate with them, but it can't be this and that at the same time. So as I turned into this, as I changed, these and what these looked like changed. As I became an operating partner, and I always said I was going to be an owner by the time I was 40, and Jim and I bought the place when I was 40, and I've got buyout plans, and the boys are going, and there's all this stuff happening. Those goals and those outcomes consistently change. I literally tell all the guys that work with me all the time, like, the only constant you have in your life right now is change. Obviously some play on words there, but the only constant you have is change. Something you thought was going to happen today changed.
Yeah.
You don't even know it changed yet. I had a piece of advice for a guy named Chris Morgan, who was my GM at the time, who introduced me to John Maxwell. He said, when I drive to work, I think to myself, I just tell myself, hey man, something really, really, really bad is going to happen today, and it's going to change the outcome of my day. I don't know what it is yet, but something really bad is going to happen, and it's going to change the outcome of my day. And he goes, when it happens, I go, oh, found it. All right, we're good. Now let's go this way. Something's going to change, either for the better or for the worse. It's how we deal with it. Are we prepared to change? Are we ready to receive change? Are we ready to assess the situation and move forward out of it? That's what a leader does. That's who people look to. When things change, they go, I don't know what to do. They look to the leaders who go, man, change, that's where I'm comfortable.
Mm.
So change.
Yeah.
Change. Yeah. Most of the time, change needs to happen in the mirror first. But change.
Yeah, so good.
That's my advice. Change.
Yeah. Change. You don't want me to sing. You know what? The Keep the Change theme is really based on transformation, right? That we are, yes, change. I love it. So well said. Thank you for that. Thank you for the little plug. But
I didn't plan that. That just kind of came out. Again, we didn't.
I didn't plan. I didn't pay you for that, did I?
And it was like in the middle of me going, well, change. Change is the word I would use for anybody as far as one piece of advice. I'm like, wait a second, change, that works really well.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who's really learned, as many of us watching this have, how to shift from who I was to who I am. I love change, right? And again, some of it's the questions we ask. The 4 questions I always say every day: what I do right, what I learn, what must I change today? And in that situation that happened, what's my role? So I'm a victor, not a victim. And that's the quality of our questions determines the quality of our life, right? So,
100%.
Dude, you and I got to hang out again. Can we do this again? Because I've got like 52 questions I didn't get to ask today.
I am always available, sir.
Awesome.
Shoot me a text, and I will always make time for you. You are a friend of mine, and I am honored as I'll get out to be able to participate in this. And hopefully, I pray that somebody hears this and they take some of the words that I have and run with them, and take them and make them their own.
Amen. And I would tell you that this is a perfect example of a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this. Absolutely. Share it with your teams. It's so good. It's so rich. I want to remind everybody, Tuesday, June 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, our webinar. If you don't know how to sign up for a webinar, you can go to bartnolenberger.com, or you can email me at bart@bartnolenberger.com, and I will give you the link to that. That's probably the best bet. Or you can call me at 480-327-8751, and we'll get you signed up for that free webinar. We're really excited to do it. Everybody will have a free workbook, and it's really powerful. A lot of content, 60 minutes, really powerful. I'm honored to be able to do it with you. John, how do they get a hold of you? I really want to talk to you too about the business that you started and how I can serve you in that. I think that measurable is fantastic, and I'd like to talk to you about that, how I can, going forward, help you as I'm in other stores. We'll talk about that offline. But how do they get a hold of you if they want more information about any of this stuff we talked about?
So they can always get a hold of me at my at jon@dogwoodauto.com, or I also have jon@sefscore.com, which is SEF Score, sales efficiency indexing. And so we're hoping to roll out quite a bit of cool techniques with that, and still designing some of the APIs. I've got probably 70% functional app for your phone for updating things, which translates into a dashboard, but that's all technical stuff. I'm not a tech guy that I've tried to figure out on my own. So, but the value that presents, especially to newer salespeople that have never really been in the industry and don't know what measurables are, because most of the guys go, hey, you're hired, follow that guy around for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, the salesperson quits, or a month later, the guy quits, and it's like, or the female or the male quit, whoever the salesperson is. And they're like, I don't know why they quit. They had an opportunity. It's like, they didn't even know how they were getting measured.
Yeah.
They didn't even know where the bar was.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know why they quit. Really? Like they have no target to aim at. So that's the cool part. So again, you can shoot me an email at jon@dogwoodauto.com or jon@sefscore.com, sefscore.com.
Perfect. Thank you. That's powerful tool. And thank you for sharing that. I look forward to hearing more about it. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. As always, if this is a podcast that you like, share it all over the place. Make sure you subscribe. God bless everybody. And we'll see you next time on Keep the Change.
Thank you.